Welcome everybody to Very Important Geeks, and today we are going to talk about what is probably the best mod I think for any keyboard out there, the tape mod. Now, there are a lot of mods out there that you can do to your keyboards. Why do I think tape mod is the best one? Well, first off, it's super easy. It could probably be done in about 5 minutes. Also, it's incredibly cheap. I found these on Amazon for as low as $2 a roll. And you probably already have some of these in your house. And finally, it's something that you can do to any board, whether it's a cheaper entry-level board, a more expensive board, whether it's a tray mount, gasket mount, it will still work. So who is this mod for? Well, anybody really, but the people that will benefit the most from this are those in the budget entry-level keyboard categories. If you already have a really high-end board, there's probably already been a lot of design and dampening and other acoustic treatments to the board which sort of make this less effective. So what is the tape mod? Well, like the name suggests, it involves applying multiple layers of tape to the back of a PCB. Now personally, I use blue painter's tape, but masking tape is another option, and those are the most popular and recommended options because they don't leave a lot of residue, they're not super sticky, and they don't use any conductive materials in them. And even though nobody will see this mod, if you want to get a little more fun with it, or you care about the aesthetics of what's inside your board as much as on the outside of your board, you can use washi tape as well, and that is just a rice paper tape that comes in a lot of different colors and patterns. Now what you do want to avoid are tape that are aggressively sticky, things like duct tape or gaffer's tape. You don't want to use those because one, they do leave a lot of residue that you'll have to clean up later should you ever want to remove this in the future. They're super sticky, so when you do remove it, you may risk pulling out parts of the PCB. And again, you'll want to avoid using any tape that has conductive materials in it, either in the tape itself or in the adhesive, because then you'll just run the risk of interference or frying your board, and we don't want that kind of funkiness around here. We don't want those problems, unless you're this guy.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
So, how many layers should you apply? Well, this sort of depends on what kind of sound you're looking for, but generally people agree that 4 is kind of the sweet spot. Now, how are you going to do all of this? Well, first, you need to be able to take apart your keyboard and remove the PCB. Then you're going to want to take your PCB and turn it over so you have good access to the back of it so that you can freely add your tape. Now, I like to work in strips from top to bottom and do a little bit of overlap so that I can get nice even overlap depending on the width of my tape or the height of my PCB. And it really doesn't matter the mounting style of PCB or keyboard that you have. The tape mod should still work, whether you have a tray mount, gasket mount, top mount, it should still work. Now what makes the tape mod so effective? What does it do? Well, Near Lucid has a great video on it that I'll link here and in the description below if you want to go check that out. Now to summarize his findings and my own findings, the tape mod works by altering the sound of the keyboard to make it warmer, deeper, or what we call a little more thockier. Now how that exactly works is maybe a little bit up for debate, but it is generally believed that the tape helps absorb the higher frequencies and reflects back the lower frequencies. And this may help you hear more of the PCB and its construction rather than the sounds of the case. And that's why it makes it more effective for some of your more budget-friendly boards that use maybe cheaper material for the plastic cases and just have a lot of hollow places around. It helps reduce the unwanted hollow sound and feel. Now, if you've never modded a keyboard before, but one of these is just sitting in your house somewhere unused, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more nonsense. Alright, now let's address some of the common questions I've heard about the tape mod. Will it interfere with the PCB or other functions? Generally, no. If you don't use a tape that has any conductive materials in it, you shouldn't find any interference with your PCB or other keyboard functions. Will the tape melt? No, I've never had a board that got hot enough to melt the tape, even the boards with like batteries in them. And if your keyboard is getting hot enough to melt the tape, that is more of a keyboard problem than a tape problem. Can I still use my hot swap PCB? Yes, it shouldn't interfere with any hot swap capabilities of your board. It doesn't add any extra stickiness or anything to the process of removing those switches. Will it work with a hand-wired board? I haven't tried. Will this work for low profile keyboards? For at least one layer of tape? Probably yes. Average 3M blue painter's tape is 0.14 millimeters thick, and you most likely will have that amount of space. Now, if you're thinking about adding like 6 or more layers, that will depend on the board and how much space there is back there. Will the tape mod work with other mods? I'm gonna say that's gonna depend on what sort of sound profile you're going for. Doing all these different mods affects the keyboard sounds in different ways, and you'll have to find out whether adding that mod in addition to other things like maybe filling the board with case foam or the Holy mod or lubing and filming your switches, if all those things contribute to the board sounding the way that you want. Fortunately, because you're using just easy to remove blue painter's tape, you can try it really easily, and if you don't like the way it sounds, you can also just easily remove it. And that is why I think if you could do just one thing to your keyboard to make it sound better, it would be the tape mod. It's super affordable, it's super easy to do, and it applies to nearly any board that you have. And that about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. I know there are a lot of other mods to do that can help so many different things, and I hope to get into those in the future. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Geek out.